Hello and welcome to another episode of the Agency Leadership Podcast. I'm Chip Griffin.
And I'm Gini Dietrich.
And Ginny, I have an award for you today. Right after this. I'm just kidding. I don't have an award for you because I don't believe in them. I think they're kind of silly.
Well, that's disappointing.
End of show.
Okay. That was fun. Nice to talk to you.
Good talking to you too. Well, I guess we probably should, stretch this out a little bit and explain some of the rationale here for agency folks, because I know that in the agency world, there is an extreme focus on awards for many. They seem to love the idea of getting them, touting them, promoting them. And it seems like lots and lots of people give out awards for the PR community because they know people are interested.
Yes.
So just about every PR industry publication has their own personal set of awards that they give out. A lot of associations have their awards. Then there are just random websites that give out awards. You never even heard of them, but you've heard of their awards, perhaps.
Oh, maybe some should do awards.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, maybe we should do this. This is a really good idea.
Yeah. And the best part about a lot of these awards is that a lot of them are pay to play, which is a lot more fun because you have to pay an application fee in order to participate in them. Okay, sure. The amount of time that I see spent wasted on awards to me is just staggering.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, in the big agency world, we definitely did them, but there was a team that focused on it.
Right.
There was an admin team.
Which is even more bonkers.
That they paid people to just go after awards. Yeah. And who were not billable, who do not do client work. They were admin only.
And a lot of these award submission forms are, they're almost at the RFP level with the level of detail that some of them request, which is to be bonkers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a big waste of time. I will say that when several years ago I had a managing director who was wonderful and probably one of the best employees I've ever had. And she would say to me, but Ginny, this is where clients learn about agencies that they've never heard of. And I was like, okay, great, but we're doing fine. We were doing $3 million in revenue at that time. Like, we didn't really need to go after awards so that the bigger companies could find us. But that was her argument, was we should be doing awards and we should be doing all these things and, get on the list and all that, because that's where the big companies go to look for agencies that they've never heard of.
Doubt that. But let's, for the sake of argument, say that that's true. The big companies look through lists of award winners, because it's certainly not when they're actually at the event. Because if they're at the events, they're busy there having a few tipples and not really paying attention to anything.
Yep.
So let's assume that they actually do look up these lists. Is that really how you want to just focus your business development efforts? Couldn't you spend all that time and money in some other fashion?
Yes.
To win better fit clients than hoping that someone looks through some list of award winners?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And, since I have had that debate with her, things have become much more important from our perspective. Blogging, social media, search engine optimization, those things are far more effective. And so that's where we spend our time, is on those kinds of things, because that's what drives our new business inquiries and really qualified leads versus, you're right, so waiting for somebody to pick up PR Week and looking through the list of the top 10 small agencies in Chicago to decide who they're going to call to issue an RFP and go through that process. And as we discussed, we don't like that process either. So no thanks.
Right. And I had to be honest, in 30 years of working in and around the agency community, owning my own, being a senior executive in larger ones, I can't think of a single instance where I had a prospect reference awards, much less say, I came to you because you won such and such an award.
Right. They come to you because of a client you've worked with, in industry you've worked in, because you show up first in search. Really, there are other reasons that they come to you, and I've never had that experience either, where they've said, gosh, you've won so many awards for your great work. We've decided that that's why we want to work with you. Ever, never has that happened.
I would also challenge most folks to look at these lists of award winners and ask yourself, is this really the best of best in whatever category it is that you haven't heard, or is it just the best amongst the entries that they happen to receive? Of course, it's just the best amongst the entries they happen to receive because they don't look outside of that.
Right.
And if you didn't pay to play and you didn't fill out the application, you're not even considered. But even within that, I know of particular instances where awards were given not because it was even necessarily the best of the entries received, but because it fit the narrative that the organization was looking for at that particular time, right? Because there is an element, if we're putting these out as our award winners, we may want to be sending certain messages that we like this practice or that practice, or, we have this belief or that belief, or, all of the different things that any organization does. They use awards to help shape that. And so that may mean that even amongst the submitted entries, it may not truly be the objective best.
And it's so subjective, right? Because you have people who are judging that, depending on what they find valuable or interesting. Like I remember judging some PRSA awards, and there were a group of us, I think 4 or 5 of us, that all we cared about was results. And if the application said that the results were media impressions and advertising equivalencies, we just tossed it. We didn't even look at it. And so you got down to the 1 or 2 that did something actually measurable, and whether or not the results that they had on there translated to something that was business success, we couldn't tell.
Right.
But they were the best of they didn't focus just on media impressions and advertising equivalencies. They focused on things that were more meaningful to an organization. But that's not to say that they were more successful than the others. We just kept tossing the ones because it was, truthfully, it's easier when you're going through thousands of entries to find reasons to, get rid of some of the applications that don't fit sort of your criteria. But is that fair? Maybe,
right. Well,
maybe not, right?
Yeah, and you and I have both served as judges for various awards, and as you go through them, you don't have a lot of time to spend on. It's a volunteer role,
right?
Typically,
right.
Very rarely are the judges being paid for their time to evaluate these things. You're doing it as a favor for someone else, or because of some role you may have with an organization. So you're not giving it a lot of time. Typically, you don't have the opportunity to ask any questions, so you're just whatever is submitted is what you have to make your best judgment off of, which is not truly how anyone would really evaluate the quality of a particular campaign, project, or other kind of work. You need to get more information in order to make a truly fair judgment. So if the process doesn't make sense, why are so many people spending time and money? Is it just because they think that it might help them? Is it really just that simple, and nobody bothers to ever step back and look at it? Because I really scratch my head a lot at how much time and energy and focus is put on awards for very little, if any, payoff.
Yeah, I think it's rampant through our entire culture, our entire society, right? You have the Oscars, you have the Grammys, when you are at the top of your field, you are given an award. And so I think that is really, it permeates through everything that we do. Even when we were kids, we were given awards for doing certain things, winning the spelling bee, winning debate club, whatever happened to be. You can tell I'm a nerd. But we've always been given awards, and so it permeates through everything. But you're absolutely right. If you stop, and it's the same thing with RFPs too. If you stop and you look at it and you say, okay, this is how much time we spent, so that dollar amount is this is how much it cost, and then this is what we got in return, you're going to find the return on investment is not there. And so you have to really look at it critically from that perspective to understand, is this something that we should do or not?
Not.
The end.
I just, it's really just, it's hard for me to fathom, because there are a lot of really smart people who spend time on this, and they go out, they seek to win the awards, then they put out a press release. Who cares?
No one cares.
Because nobody, frankly, most of your prospects haven't even heard of the awards that you're winning. they may not have ever heard of the publication or the organization that's giving it out. So, I mean, you might as well just start your own organization and give yourself some awards. It probably has the same level of impact on people, and it'd be a lot easier to do.
I'm going to start giving you awards. This will be fun.
Yeah. I don't think I would want those awards. I can't imagine what they would be for. And yeah. So if an agency owner comes to you and says, hey, what award should I apply for? Do you just straight up tell them
I
none?
do.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do the same thing with RFPs, and they argue with me, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it's not my time or money that you're spending. Like, if you're going to do it, do it. I'm telling you why I don't think you should. But if that's what you want to do and that's where you want to spend your time and your resources, by all means. And then inevitably, several months later, you'll have the conversation, you were right. And I'm like, I know. But like, really and truly, this is one of those things that it's not worth the investment. Because if you were getting a ton of new business from it, then yes. But I guarantee you're not getting that much business from it.
I would say any business from it.
Probably,
so here would be my, if you are a skeptic of our viewpoint, my suggestion to you is this: sit down and make a list of all of the clients who came to you and didn't say it was because of an award, but merely referenced the fact that you had won any award. So just make a list of any of your current clients who referenced an award during the business development process. My guess is there's going to be nothing on that list. But let's say you think maybe possibly one of the clients did. Either way, now start more actively tracking it going forward. Maybe add a field to your beloved CRM or your spreadsheet or the napkin on which you track your new business process. Whatever you're using, make a note every single time someone brings up an award. Not when you mention it to them, not when you show them the beautiful deck in your slide in your creds deck that has a pretty picture of the award or the organization logo, but someone actually brings it up to you. Make a list every single time that happens. Check back in 6 months. See how long that list is. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe for you, maybe in the niche that you're in, it really matters. But again, in 30 years, I have not seen it to be a factor at all.
Yeah, same for me. Not at all.
And so I would argue that spending even an hour on it is a waste of time.
Yep.
And instead, you should spend that hour talking to someone, going somewhere, sending an email.
Yep.
Connecting with someone on LinkedIn. Anything.
Yes.
Would be more valuable than that.
Yes. Write some content. Use the LinkedIn newsletter to drive referrals. Like, there's a lot of things that you can do in that hour that will actually contribute to the success of your agency.
Or go take a nap so that you're more refreshed for whatever you're doing next.
Take a nap.
I think that would be at least as useful
as
spending time searching for and applying for an award that nobody's ever heard of.
100% agree with you.
So
the end.
We'll give ourselves an award for staying under 15 minutes for this episode.
Wow, look at us.
See?
Yep. It's an easy one.
Yeah, it's an easy one. It's a layup. And we didn't have to pay for the award.
We did not.
We didn't have to fill out an application. It took us no time to do it. But you know what? I think, maybe we'll throw a little award graphic in the post for this episode so that we can say that episode under 15 minutes.
I love it. Perfect.
So with that,
that's perfect.
We will draw this to a close. Go find something better to do with your time than focusing on awards. This ends this episode of the Agency Leadership Podcast. I'm Chip Griffin.
And I'm Gini Dietrich.
And it depends, except when it comes to awards and RFPs.